You know, I was the typical Korean guy that did everything by the books. I got both my bachelor's and master's in biomedical engineering. I finished at the top of my class. I got incredible internships. I was a part of a biomedical startup, and everything seemed to be really, really great from the traditional realm. Now, what has absolutely blown my mind, and to the point that I could have never imagined this to be a reality, is how you can actually make money online today with content creation. Now, trust me, I also felt as though the only way that you can earn money online was by scamming other people, and that was a world that I didn't want any part in. But just listen to me on this. I actually made my first $1 million while still a student, getting both my bachelor's and master's in biomedical engineering simultaneously. So while I was in classes for about 17 hours a day and doing work in that span of time, I was able to create content that helped other students, built an audience, ultimately developed a product that landed #1 on Amazon's new releases, skyrocketed the business to over $1 million. And then after school, I had so many opportunities in front of me. Yes, I still had the biomedical engineering realm that I could pursue. And then I had this whole world of creator-led products that I could help and leave even a bigger impact. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And now with the money that I've accrued, I've actually invested into my very first biomedical engineering startup too. So what I am here to tell you is that it has never been easier to make money online. And I want you to understand that it doesn't require a fancy set of skills or fancy setup. It's actually all about knowing the exact content strategy. And if you can do this on a weekly basis, slowly over time, you'll get so good at the skill that you become undeniable. You become so attractive, the allure of you and everything about you. You're gonna be the type of person that has a ton of opportunity in your inbox and will never have to chase another opportunity again. Now, I know that those are big promises to make, and therefore I am going to back up what I am saying by giving you a full-on content to cash plan. Meaning that if I had this plan, I could have monetized in the span of months and wouldn't have had to wait years for me to ever actually develop my first product, right? So I want you to know exactly how to do it, and I'm gonna run that through with you in a 4-day live event called Content to Cash. Over 100 hours by 10 plus people are going into this specific event, and I want you to be a part of it. It's completely for free, and I want to walk you through exactly what you can expect inside. Your 2026 Content to Cash plan is a virtual free event to plan out your content strategy for 2026. Set realistic goals for your personal brand, build systems so you can finally start posting consistently and earn money online. It will be held from January 15th to the 18th, again, in just a few days, so I really hope that you make some time for us and attend. I am going to show you throughout the event exactly how I went from literally having no content, no creative nor business background, gaining my first 10,000 followers, and then ultimately getting my first set of millions of followers, and being able to now build a global business that is leading a team of 20 plus people across Dubai, London, LA. That's my daily life now that I get to live, and I want to be sure that I don't gatekeep any of this information and that you too can actually make use of this great opportunity of the digital age. So what you can expect is that #1, we're going to cover the fact that you are not a fitness, fashion, tech, or lifestyle creator. No, you're actually the niche. You yourself have multiple interests, and if you can create about all of those interests in a strategic manner, you can actually build an audience that champions you and not just the information that you're presenting. We'll also go over how to tell your story, which formats actually work today with the algorithm, how to make your content planner. We'll have tons of guest speakers. We'll have content audits and Q&A sessions so you can interact with myself and the team. Look, everyone says you need to pick a niche, focus on just one thing. Niching down is the only way to grow, but I really do believe that you don't need to find a niche, that you are the niche, and we'll actually go through a step-by-step process for your first 10 videos. It's gonna be called my MAPS framework. It's super cool. It's on theme for the new year, and I think that you'll really enjoy it. A big part of content creation is this idea of storytelling. How do you know which stories to tell, and how do you strategically package them in a way that could be leveraged for, let's say, if you have a product to market, for example. Here, I have my 3P framework that reads problem, pursuit, and payoff. So for me, my message reads, a personal branding is the most valuable long-term investment. That's the message that I want to present to the world because I truly believe in it. It has completely changed my life. So imagine how powerful it is when I can utilize my own transformative experiences to highlight why personal branding is meaningful, right? Then it becomes personal. That content becomes human. I can talk about my own problems that I've had to overcome, and I can showcase the steps that I've taken to overcome it, and then the payoff, the transformation that ultimately I'm trying to depict. So for here, I am going to show you the confidence angle or the confidence story, right? So for me, content creation has helped me with this journey. First, I was really afraid of being seen. Then I had a pursuit where I started to post content that shared my life publicly, and the payoff for the transformation was that I felt very confident making an impact on others. So now I'm using this story to say, hey, if you are somebody that wants personal development, that wants more confidence, there's no greater way to do it than content creation. This ability for you to build a personal brand online will challenge you in ways that you've never been challenged before, and that's an angle, or that's a story that I can tell about my message that effectively communicates why I believe it is important. Then we'll talk about how you can actually post consistently. Look, I'm on the verge of almost 6 years of posting every single day. I think it'll be in February once I hit that milestone. milestone. But the first part to this has an understanding of low intensity and high intensity formats, right? Not every single piece of content needs to take 7 hours to edit nor 7 days to plan, right? Sometimes the content pieces that we barely try on get a lot of views on it, right? And that's not by mistake, because value, or let's say quality of content, has nothing to do with how fancy your camera is, has nothing to do with how long your video is, has nothing to do with how long you've been editing for. It has everything to do with your audience's perceived value. And if you can actually increase your value even in a low effort piece of content, effectively it's a high quality piece of content. So I am going to go over exactly how you can cultivate low and high intensity formats so that you can maximize your time. So I usually recommend about 5 low intensity formats and 1 to 2 high intensity per week. And we'll walk you through exact templates that I use that you can follow as well, that actually aligns with you and also gets a lot of views. I'll break it down in terms of talking heads and non-talking videos, meaning that talking videos are kind of like this, where I'm just expressing an idea with my own words, and maybe I have some overlays, or maybe I have some sort of different scenes that are being shown here, but that is the talking head versions. And even in that, there's low intensity versions where I am literally just in front of the camera talking, and there's more high intensity versions of this where I have multiple different angle shots, etc., and I'm putting on different overlays. I'll walk you through exactly how you can execute that for yourself, and you can choose whichever template or format you'd prefer. Then we're gonna go into repurposing, reposting, and ready content. That's my 3R framework that helps you be consistent as well, especially on your lowest energy days. Repurposing content means that you're taking content that has already been made by you and giving it a new life by packaging it differently. So you can actually repurpose B-roll, which means that you're reusing the same B-roll clips in multiple pieces of content. You can repurpose the format, which means that you're reusing the same format over and over, but with a new message. And you can actually repurpose the same message over and over again, but with a different format. So I'm gonna show you a ton of examples of this, but here's just one very simple example of how you can repurpose B-roll. And it's literally the exact same piece of content. So I'm basically giving that B-roll a new life by just packaging it ever so differently. So we'll talk about how you repurpose B-roll, but we're gonna talk about how to also repost correctly as well. If I'm going to repost a piece of content, it has to have at least 2 months in between, so it can give it a second life to my audience without it feeling redundant. The third R stands for ready. So that is batching ready content, right? Content that, especially if you're having high energy days, you can actually go about making multiple and then save yourself the headache when you really don't feel like showing up one day, and you can just pull from that reservoir, right? So I'm gonna go over how do you make a content plan for yourself, how to strategically know which posts to do on a weekly basis and when and how, and I'll actually show you how I plan my content and give you a calendar that you can follow as well. Then we'll go over the Instagram algorithm. We'll go over myths about the algorithm. People say that the algorithm hates them, when in reality, they just don't understand the algorithm. So we'll show you how that there's differences of algorithm structure in terms of their stories, reels, and carousels on each, let's say, platform. And then we'll go over how you can actually leverage these signals to best optimize for viewership. Another part of getting more views is obviously the hook. What do you do in the first 3 seconds? But it's even more than that. It's about what do you do in the next 10 seconds to rehook your audience. So there's ways that you can strategically script your videos, etc. So we'll go over different hooks. And then lastly, it's going to be all about how do you monetize this attention? Because ultimately, when you do build an audience, ultimately when you do garner traffic onto your page, you need to effectively be able to show how that attention can then be funneled into a back-end ecosystem where you can monetize with your own products, or let's say partnering up with your favorite brands to do brand deals. And so I'm going to show you the content funnel, where certain contents are actually meant to attract new audiences. Certain content is actually meant to nurture them once they're inside so that they don't leave. Some content is meant to be more authoritative so that you can actually prove your credibility. That's positioning content. And then in addition, you have conversion content. So it's about how do we bring them through this funnel, and then the conversion content, how can you bring them onto a landing page? How do you design a landing page that will effectively have the highest conversion rates? How do you collect emails, and what do you do with those emails, lead magnets, and everything in between? We'll be going over all of those things. And then I'll personally show you examples of creators that I've worked with, for example, Kadeem, and all of their track, nurture, position, and convert content. How did they effectively do it? And now how are they making thousands of dollars? Like I encourage you to take an opportunity and do. I'm showing you how these individuals have actually gone about that opportunity and executed successfully. I'm also going to show you how, if you can put together this content system with the monetization ecosystem, a lot of really powerful things ultimately happen. You'll be able to grow and monetize simultaneously, which is an absolute dream to be doing online in today's digital age. Every single time we host these events, there are people that come out of it and that start their own 6-figure businesses, that come out of these events and are getting their first tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of new followers. And I really encourage you to take that next step for yourself in 2026 to make use of this completely free event. It's 4 days. All of the days will be completely different. There'll be a ton of guest speakers. There'll be interviews. There'll be resources and everything in between to get you started for this upcoming year. If you're interested, click the link in the description box below and you can simply sign up. I'll see you inside.